Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lessons from Life. I never thought I would have to tell this story, because once upon a time, I believed I had the perfect marriage. I believed I had married my best friend. I believed the man sleeping beside me every night would be the same man who would hold my hand when I became a mother. But I was wrong. And the day I discovered my husband was cheating on me while I was pregnant was the day my entire world changed. My name is Emma, and this is the story of how the man I loved broke my heart, how I survived the darkest period of my life, and how years later he finally realized what he had lost. I still remember that morning. I was standing in my bathroom, staring at a pregnancy test. 2 lines. I couldn't believe it. I checked it again, then again, 2 lines. I put my hand over my mouth and started crying. But they weren't sad tears. They were happy tears. I was going to be a mother. I ran downstairs so quickly that I almost fell. My husband, Daniel, was sitting on the floor, his head in his hands, couch, drinking coffee. "Daniel," he looked at me. "What happened?" I couldn't speak. I simply handed him the pregnancy test. He looked at it. His eyes became wide. "Emma," I nodded. "We're having a baby." He stood up and hugged me. He kissed my forehead, then he placed his hand gently on my stomach. "There really is a baby in there." I laughed. "Yes." He smiled. "I promise you, Emma, I'll take care of you both." Those words meant everything to me. That night we stayed awake talking about our future. We talked about baby names. We talked about the nursery. We talked about where we would take our child on vacation. I remember looking at Daniel that night and thinking, I'm the luckiest woman alive. I had no idea that only a few months later, I would wonder if the man beside me had ever truly loved me. The first few weeks were beautiful. Daniel was excited. He would touch my stomach and ask, "Do you think it's a boy or a girl?" I would laugh. "I don't know." Then he would say, "I hope it's a little girl who looks just like you." Those memories became painful later, because slowly, Daniel started changing. He began coming home late. At first, I didn't think much of it. He told me work was stressful. Then he started taking his phone everywhere, even when he went to the bathroom, even when he took a shower. If I walked into the room while he was texting, he would immediately lock his screen. One night I asked him, "Is everything okay?" He didn't look at me. "I'm tired." "You seem different." I said, "I'm tired, Emma." His voice was cold. I became quiet. I didn't want to argue. I was pregnant. I wanted peace. I wanted my baby to grow up in a happy home. So I ignored the warning signs. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself pregnancy hormones were making me emotional. I didn't know. I wasn't imagining anything. One evening, Daniel left his phone on the kitchen table. I wasn't trying to look through it. I honestly wasn't. I was simply moving it, because I needed to put a plate on the table. Then the screen lit up. A message appeared. "I miss you. Last night was amazing." I froze. My hands stopped moving. I stared at the screen. A few seconds later, another message appeared. "When are you going to tell your wife?" My heart stopped. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I slowly sat down. My hand automatically went to my stomach. My baby kicked. I started crying. I didn't even know who the woman was, but I knew what was happening. My husband was cheating on me while I was carrying his child. I sat there for almost 20 minutes. I didn't move. I didn't touch the phone again. I just waited for him to come home. When Daniel finally walked through the door, I was sitting at the kitchen table. His phone was in front of me. He stopped immediately. "Emma." I looked at him. "Who is she?" He didn't answer. I asked again. "Who is she?" He looked away, and in that moment, I knew. My husband had betrayed me. I started crying. "Are you sleeping with her?" Daniel remained silent. I whispered, "Tell me the truth." Finally, he said, "Yes." That one word destroyed me. I looked down at my stomach. "Our baby." Daniel said nothing. "How could you do this to me?" He rubbed his face. "I don't know." "You don't know?" "I've been unhappy." I stared at him. "Unhappy?" "Yes." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I'm carrying your baby." "I know. You promised me you'd take care of us." "I know." "Then why did you do this?" He looked at me. "Everything changed after you got pregnant." I felt my heart crack. "So you blame me?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." I stood up. My legs were shaking. You cheated on me because I became pregnant? He didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any words could have. After that night, Daniel became even colder. He stopped pretending. He would come home late, he would ignore me. Sometimes he would sleep on the couch. If I asked him to come to a doctor's appointment, he would say he was busy. One morning, I was struggling to carry a box of baby clothes. I asked, "Daniel, can you help me?" He looked at me. "You can do it yourself." I stared at him. "I don't feel well." "You're pregnant, Emma, not dying." Those words stayed with me. I went upstairs alone. I sat on the nursery floor. There were tiny clothes everywhere. A little crib, a small blanket, and a pair of tiny white socks. I picked them up. I pressed them against my stomach. Then I whispered, "Baby, I'm sorry. I wanted you to have a happy family." I started crying. But then my baby kicked. I put my hand over my stomach, and I realized something. I wasn't completely alone. I had my baby, and I had to be strong. When I was 8 months pregnant, Daniel told me he wanted to leave. We were sitting in the living room. He looked completely emotionless. "I think we should separate." I stared at him. "Now?" "Yes. I'm 8 months pregnant." "I know. You're leaving me now?" "I need to think about my life." I couldn't believe him. "What about our child?" "I'll be responsible." I laughed through my tears. "Responsible? You weren't responsible when you were cheating." He looked down. I stood up. "Do you love her?" He didn't answer. That was enough. I packed a small suitcase that night. I went to my sister's house. I didn't take much, just my clothes, my medical documents, and the tiny yellow outfit I had bought for my baby. As I left our house, I looked back one last time. I remember thinking, maybe this is the end of my marriage. I was right. But I didn't know yet that it was also the beginning of my new life. I stayed with my sister for several weeks. Those weeks were incredibly difficult. My body was tired, my heart was broken, and every night I wondered if I had done something wrong. Was I not beautiful enough? Was I not loving enough? Was I not good enough? I blamed myself for something I hadn't done. Then one night, I woke up with terrible pain. I knew something was wrong. My sister rushed me to the hospital. My baby was coming early. I was terrified. I asked for Daniel. My sister called him. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. I closed my eyes and whispered, "It's okay. I can do this." After hours of labor, I heard the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. A baby crying. My son was born. The nurse placed him in my arms. He was tiny, his little fingers wrapped around mine. I looked at him and started crying. "Ethan," I whispered, "Mommy is here." At that moment I realized something. Daniel had abandoned me. But I had not been abandoned by life. I had my son, and he gave me a reason to keep going. Daniel came to the hospital the next day. When he entered my room, I didn't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, nothing, everything. He looked at our baby. "Can I hold him?" I hesitated. Then I handed Ethan to him. Daniel held his son for the first time. The baby opened his eyes. He grabbed Daniel's finger. And suddenly, Daniel started crying. I had never seen him cry before. He looked at me. I was wrong. I didn't say anything. He looked at Ethan again. I missed all of this. I finally spoke. "You didn't miss it. You chose not to be here." He closed his eyes. I could see the pain on his face. "I know." A few days later, Daniel came to my sister's house. He brought me a letter. "I know you don't want to hear me." I said nothing. "But I need to say this." He handed me the letter. I opened it. It said, "Emma, I betrayed you when you needed me most. I made you feel unwanted when you were carrying our child. I blamed you for changes that were happening because we were becoming parents. I was selfish, I was cruel, and I have no excuse. You don't owe me forgiveness. You don't owe me another chance. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forget what I did. I just want the opportunity to become a better man." I finished reading. I looked at him. "You hurt me. I know. You made me hate myself. I know. You left me when I needed you. I know. So what do you want from me?" He looked at me. "I want to be Ethan's father." Then he paused. "And if one day you can forgive me, I want to earn the right to be your husband again." I didn't forgive him that day. I couldn't. My heart was still broken. Daniel didn't pressure me. That surprised me. He simply started showing up every morning. He came to see Ethan. He learned how to change diapers. He learned how to prepare bottles. He stayed awake when the baby cried. He cleaned the house. He cooked. He helped with everything. But I remained distant. I was afraid. I had trusted him once, and he had destroyed that trust. Sometimes I would look at him and remember the messages. Sometimes I couldn't sleep because I wondered if he was still talking to her. Daniel understood. He never became angry. Whenever I needed reassurance, he gave it. Months passed. Then another year. Slowly, I began noticing something. He wasn't trying to win me back with words. He was changing through his actions. One afternoon, I came home unexpectedly. I walked into the living room. Daniel was sitting on the floor. Ethan was sitting on his shoulders. They were both laughing. Ethan shouted, "Higher, Daddy." Daniel laughed. Okay. I stood there watching them. For the first time in a long time, I smiled. Daniel noticed me. He became quiet. "Hi," I smiled. "Hi." It was such a small moment, but it changed something inside me. I realized Daniel wasn't the same man anymore. And maybe I wasn't the same woman either. 2 years after Ethan was born, Daniel asked me to meet him at a small restaurant. I almost didn't go, but I did. When I arrived, he was waiting for me. He didn't bring flowers. He didn't bring an expensive gift. Instead, he placed something on the table. The tiny white socks I had bought before Ethan was born. I stared at them. "You kept these?" He nodded. "I kept them because they remind me of the woman I almost lost." My eyes filled with tears. Daniel looked at me. "I know what I did. I know I can't erase it. I know trust doesn't come back in one day. But I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I understand your value." He took a breath. "I don't want the old marriage back." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I want a new marriage, one built on honesty, respect, trust, and love." I was silent, then I asked, "What if you hurt me again?" He looked directly into my eyes. "Then I will live with knowing I lost the best woman I ever had." I smiled through my tears. "You've changed." "I had to." "Why?" He looked at me. "Because losing you made me realize what I had." I reached across the table. I held his hand. "I forgive you." He started crying. "But," I smiled, "forgiving you doesn't mean forgetting." "I know. It means I'm choosing to move forward." He nodded. "I'll spend my life making sure you never regret that choice." Today, years have passed. Ethan is no longer a baby. He's a happy little boy who loves soccer, cartoons, and annoying his father. And Daniel, he's a completely different man. He comes home early. He never hides his phone. He never makes me question where he is. He attends every school event, every birthday, every doctor's appointment, every important moment. But the biggest change isn't what he does. It's how he looks at me. Sometimes I'll catch him watching me while I'm cooking. I'll ask, "What?" And he'll smile. "Nothing." "Why are you staring?" "Because I'm still grateful you're here." I used to think those words would make me angry. Now they make me smile. Our marriage isn't perfect. We still argue sometimes. We still have bad days. But now when something goes wrong, we talk. We don't run. We don't lie. We don't betray each other. And sometimes late at night, when Ethan is sleeping, Daniel holds my hand. He tells me, "I still can't believe you gave me another chance." And I always tell him the same thing. "I didn't give you a chance because I forgot what you did. I gave you a chance because I saw what you became afterward. But there is something I will never forget. The woman I was when I left that house 8 months pregnant was scared, broken, and convinced her life was over. She didn't know that one day she would sit beside her husband again. She didn't know that her little baby would become the reason both of them changed. And she definitely didn't know that the man who once made her feel worthless would one day spend his life reminding her of her worth. I used to think my husband's betrayal was the end of my story. But it wasn't. It was the chapter that taught me how strong I really was. I learned that someone else's betrayal does not determine your value. Someone else's choices do not define your worth. And sometimes, the hardest chapter of your life can lead you to the happiest one. Today, when I look at my son, and then at my husband, I don't think about the woman who was betrayed anymore. I think about the woman who survived, the woman who became stronger, the woman who chose herself, and eventually, the woman who learned to love again, not because she forgot the past, but because she finally realized her future was always more important than her pain. And that's how my broken family slowly became a happy one again.